Hi everyone, I'm just coming back here with another video. Now, it's not going to be a quick video, so I'm just going to warn you about that from the beginning. Also, I'm going to give a trigger warning on this video because I do feel it may upset a few people, but that's life, okay? This video, basically, what I just want to talk about is the whole Republican, patriot, nationalist movement here in Ireland. And I just want to talk about the in-house fighting that's going on at the moment. I'll be honest with you now, I've never in my life seen the likes of it. It's just absolutely out of control. It's horrible, actually. It really is horrible. And every time you go onto social media, there's a post going up about such a person is a shill, such a person is a plant. And just cutting characters up of people, an awful lot of backstabbing going on as well. And it's just pathetic now, really, at this stage. I'm going to have to call it out, lads. It is pathetic. And look, here's my opinion on it. Like, if you've got a problem with somebody, you know, be an adult, you know, go message them, talk to them if you can, and solve it offline. You know, why are you bringing problems with people onto social media platforms and publicly, and, you know, as they say, airing your dirty laundry in public? Do you know what I mean? There's a better way to do it, and I don't think that's the right way to do it. Now, I know some people, you may not be able to talk to them, fair enough, but you could just take a step back and walk away as well. But I just feel like the social media, it's gone toxic at the moment. Like, every time you come onto your social media now, it's just constantly bitching. Like, it's worse than being back at school now, to be honest. It really is. I find the whole lot so negative, so immature, and there's just mass infiltration as well within the Republican, Nationalist, patriot movement in Ireland. It's just at a level that I really have not seen before. I'm going to cover a few things with you, okay? Now, I did make a previous video on this before, but I just feel like I'm being bombarded with it, so I just letting it all off my chest today. So sorry that you have to listen to this, but I think we need to kind of say this as well. Now, first of all, I want to just talk about the grifting that's going on, okay? Now, there's a lot of people, they're claiming to be nationalists, patriots, Republicans, and they're looking for money, like, constantly. They've GoFundMes, and according to them, they're going to save Ireland. Now, I don't know how people are donating to them. I can't understand it. I can't even comprehend it. You know, we've got a cost of living crisis here, but, you know, they're not going to save Ireland. I'm sorry, people. They're not going to save Ireland. And I'm just going to go a little bit on, I suppose, a faith part, and a little bit, I suppose, biblical, which some people will get offended by this, and that's fine. But these are just my opinions. And I just going to go, you know, when you talk about some of your 7 deadly sins, and, you know, we'll just go, I suppose, greed. Greed is one of the 7 deadly sins. And, you know, we have an awful lot of this in the patriot movement, as I said, Republican, Nationalists, with people constantly, you know, looking for money, GoFundMes, you know, they're going to save Ireland. They're not going to save Ireland. I'm sorry, they're not going to save Ireland. So just be careful who you're donating money to. You know, don't be deceived. Think of deception. There's an awful lot of deception going on. Now, I just want to say, like, I don't have a problem with a genuine, you know, what would you call, citizen journalists that's going up and down the country, and they need money, you know, because that is their job. I've no problem with that. Or, you know, they need petrol and all that. That, you know, that's fine. No problem with that. That's understandable. But, you know, we have these people, you know, they just, you know, are hiding behind a screen, and they just come on and they're looking for money, and they're telling you they're going to save the country. As I said, don't be deceived. They're not going to save the country. And, you know, don't be fooled and giving your hard-earned cash. And I know there's even people giving money to people and they can't afford it. Do you know what I mean? And, you know, that bothers me, you know, to be honest, because you are being deceived, and that's not fair. And I think as well, you know, some people take advantage of vulnerable situations. We all know the country is in a state, and, like, no one's really happy at the moment with everything that's going on up and down the country. You know, every single day we're being bombarded, you know, this is happening, that's happening, you know, they're at Christianity, they're at the faith, they're at the children, they're doing this in the schools, they're doing that, digital ID, and, you know, it's been hurled at people. And I think it's very important just to stay calm, and not only to stay calm as well, you know, use your critical thinking as well. Now, just talking there, we'll say, with the greed, I just want to get on then to pride, another one of the 7 deadly sins. And there's an awful lot of that within the Patriot Republican Nationalist movement, where, you know, egos, I've never seen such egos in my life. I mean, it's unbelievable. You know, don't put people up on pedestals as well, because again, if you go to your first commandment, thou shalt not honour false gods, you know, don't put people up on pedestals. You know, we should be all equal and all equal pegging. And when you start putting people up on pedestals, that's when you begin to have a problem, because these people then, they get these egos, the head swells, and it can burn out a very nasty side in people as well, these egos. So just be very careful of that, you know, as well. I would be of the firm belief, and these are my opinions, that to change this country, well, first of all, there's too much division. You know, we can't go forward with all this division. And the government is loving it. I mean, they're sitting back and they are laughing. They're absolutely laughing, and they're loving this, all the division. You know, and I think it will be, you know, grassroots, community level, with good, genuine people that, you know, love their country and want change. As I said, there is a lot of deception. There is a lot of false prophets. There's a lot of wolves in sheep's clothing. And, you know, they're not true nationalists, they're not true Republicans, they're not true patriots. They're in it for their own gain. And, you know, some of them, it's financial. Others, you know, it's ego, it's getting platforms. So I'm just asking people, you know, use your critical thinking. Now, there's another thing I want to talk about as well, with social media as well. Going back to these posts and putting up a post about such a person. I'm not going to mention any names here whatsoever, because I don't think it's right. And, you know, a post will go up. I will ask people, again, use your critical thinking. You know, if a person's having a problem with somebody, ask yourself, you know, should they be airing that publicly, you know, on social media? Should they not have just gone and tried to speak to that person? You know, we have to act like adults here. And don't make your judgment of a person on another person's opinion. You know, make your own judgment, critical thinking. And I feel like critical thinking is kind of gone as well, because we have some people within the movement as well that, you know, they're very manipulative, and they will use bully tactics as well. And it's kind of like they have an opinion about somebody, and if you don't have that opinion, well, then they're nearly turning on you. You know, it's gone out of control, people. And I mean, I'm sure people listening, you'd agree that it is gone out of control, that you turn on social media now and it's negative, it's toxic. And it's not good, you know, and it's dragging people down, and it's playing right into the government's hands. You know, that's what they want. They want infiltration, they want division, they want everyone fighting with each other, everyone backstabbing with each other. That's what they want. But I'm telling people to use your critical thinking and just take a step back. You know, if you find, you know, someone is very negative and is just constantly, you know, coming onto social media, backstabbing people, you know, and talking bad about people, I would say take a step back, because, you know, that's not what the movement's about. You know, the republicanism, nationalism, and, you know, patriots, it's not what it's about. And it's got really bad, I think, lately. It's, as I said, it really is out of control. And don't let yourself get, I suppose, dragged into this and dragged down by it. As I said, use critical thinking. There is a lot of deception. There's going to be a lot of false prophets, and as I said, wolves in sheep's clothing. So, you know, be careful, you know, what you're getting involved in. As I said, you can listen to everyone and have your own opinion at the end of the day. Do you know what I mean? You know, be careful of people if they're telling you, oh, you shouldn't be listening to this one and you should be listening to that one, because at the end of the day, you're all grown adults. You can make your own decisions up, and you should be making your own decisions. Don't be letting other people make decisions for you. But all this in-house fighting, it is just horrible. It's horrible. I think it's tarring the whole movement, and it's kind of hard to take the movement even serious, you know, at the moment. And as I said, now, I'm not going to mention any names, but even some of the political parties as well, there is fierce fighting going on, in-house fighting. and backstabbing, and it's just horrible. But what I would say to people is, you know, don't let it drag you down, as they say. Don't get dragged into a brawl, and, you know, have your own critical thinking. Don't let people, you know, bully you. And if you need to take a break, and, you know, come back into it. You know, look after your own, you know, mental health. I think that's important as well. You know, don't let it drag you down into this negativity. Now, there is another thing I want to bring up as well, is this whole rabbit hole, as they talk about. I just think as well, again, critical thinking, always do your own research as well. You know, if you see something up and you don't agree with it, that's fine. You know, everyone is entitled to their own opinion. You know, do your own research. Don't always be relying on other people to do research for you. You know, get into the habit of researching things yourself. And if you're questioning something, you know, research it yourself and see, you know, what's going on. Don't always, you know, just feel, you know, as I said, depend on other people to be feeding you all the information, because I think that's going on a bit as well. So, and as I said, take a step back if you need to. Look after your mental health, you know, get some fresh air, go out for a walk. Don't be on these platforms, you know, all day and they're just dragging you down. Now, another thing I want to talk about as well is some of these Twitter spaces as well, and Twitter. Like, first of all, a thing that I don't like about Twitter is, and I suppose it's the same with YouTube as well, you know, to get yourself out there, a lot of people, you know, they're paying, they have to pay so that they can get, you know, more views, and their posts get more traction, and they can write longer posts and all this. And I just feel like that's wrong as well, because that's not democracy. No one should have to pay to get their voice heard more. And it's the same in YouTube as well. You know, it's all about algorithms and, you know, pay to get your videos seen more. You know, this isn't democracy. You know, we should all have a fair game at everything, you know, videos and your voice, and we shouldn't have to pay to get our voice out there. You know, that's wrong as well. And I just feel as well with Twitter, there is some of these Twitter spaces. And for me, I have popped in and out to a few, and for me, they're not really for me, if I were to be honest. I feel like they're echo chambers, and it seems to be the same people talking all the time. And, you know, people will say this as well, that the mic is only given to certain people. So you've got the same people talking all the time, I suppose, to the same people a lot of the time as well. So I think that's not very productive, and, you know, you need to be getting out the views to other people as well. So look, I mean, I'm just trying to give my opinions here, I suppose, about what's going on, what's happening, and as I said, just the way things are going, and I suppose spiralling out of control. Now, just want to get on to Facebook then as well. Now, what I find about Facebook, if you have put up posts that are spicy, let's call them spicy, okay, you will be punished big time. And you know the whole one with the, you can't even say that anymore because you get restrictions and it's just out of control. Abortion is another big one. They absolutely hate you speaking about abortion. Your feeds, your posts, your videos, they're all shoved down. So what I want to say about that is, you know, people are talking about, you know, communism. I think it's already here, people, to be fair and to be honest. And, you know, people talk about China and, you know, the social credit system. It's already here. I mean, if you talk about certain things, even on social media, it's all controlled. And I feel like even Facebook, it's all mind control as well. I mean, I'll just talk my own personal experiences here. Like, my Facebook has changed so much. I don't see an awful lot of my posts anymore. You know, people are putting up posts, I don't see them. And some people even, I mightn't have seen a post up in months. I'd be thinking, are they still on Facebook, or are they still active? And then I'd have to actually, you know, look up their name and click into them. And then I'd see they have a lot of posts up and I've never seen them. They don't come up on my feed. Now, what I'm getting an awful lot on my feed on Facebook are ads. It's just constantly bombarded with all these ads, just constantly, which I wouldn't have got before, but I am getting an awful lot now. And as I said, if you are putting up the spicy posts, and we know a lot of people within the movement would have been, your feeds are being pushed down and people won't be seeing your feeds. Because I often look at some people, I'd see a post going up and I'd say, that's a very good post, or someone might do a video or a podcast, And I'd say, you know, that's very good. How come that's not getting as much views? And we all know why. You know, it's the censorship. They're moving those posts and videos lower down in the feeds because they don't want them to be seen. You're going to be punished if you speak about certain topics. That's just fact. So so you have Facebook. Then, as I said, it's controlled. Facebook, you know, they just love people on Facebook putting up the airy-fairy things like, oh, I'm here having a coffee, or, you know, the posy pictures. That's where they want you, you know. They don't want you, you know, putting up, as I said, the spicy posts. You put them up, they'll move your, you know, your posts down lower in feeds. And like, even sometimes you'll see on certain posts, I'm sure you've seen it, where it will come up interested, not interested, and you can press a thing. And they seem to come up in posts like religious posts, again, the spicy posts, what they call the conspiracy theory posts, you know, you get that. But they just want people, you know, the usual gambling, drinking, drugs, you know, where you're having your coffee, where you're going on holiday, you know, your Christmas pajamas posts. You know, Facebook loves all that. They just want you in that kind of matrix of, you know, just control, not questioning anything, kind of, you know, dumbed down, so to speak, you know. And people might get offended when I say that, but it's true that, you know, if you're putting up, I mean, I see some people putting up great posts, and as I say, there could be no likes underneath it, no views, do you know what I mean? And that's all by design. So what I'm saying to people is, you know, use your critical thinking. Don't get bogged down. You know, don't get dragged into all these little bitch fest fights that are going on social media. I'd say take a step back from them. Don't entertain them. Don't entertain them for a second, because they are negative and they're not what the movement is about and what it should have ever been about. And use discernment. Use your own judgment. Think for yourself. Don't let other people think for you. Don't let other people bully you. You know, you also get this thing, you know, where certain people, you can see the dominant personalities coming out as well within the movement, the Republican Patriot Nationalist movement. You can see kind of domineering tactics, you know, where, you know, they always want to be in control, and, you know, they are even trying to control who you follow, people you follow, posts you watch. Just watch out for all of that, because that is a red flag as well. You know, we're all adults. You should be able to watch whoever you want to watch. Have your own thinking. Use critical thinking. You know, stay away from all that backstabbing, nasty, childish bitchiness. Take a step back from that. It's not good. It's not good for people. I'm just hoping, right? I do live in hope. Like, I'm hoping the nationalist, patriotic Republican movement can clean itself up. I do think it needs a deep clean, so to speak. There's definitely a lot of infiltration. I'm not going to mention no names. I will ask you to use your discernment, do your own research, and, you know, the truth will come. And as they say, you will know them by their fruits, and you definitely will know them by their fruits. But I just admire the people that are in it for the right reasons. And again, I'm not mentioning any names. You know, they're not looking for money. They are, you know, in it for the love of their country. And we do have those people. They are there. I think a lot of them, they're more kind of quieter people. Again, they wouldn't have those domineering personalities as well. But just, you know, do use your discernment, you know. Definitely it's kind of climaxing at the moment with the infiltration, the negativity, the backstabbing, the fighting, the bitching. I've never seen it so bad. And that is the truth. As I said, every time I open up my social media, I'm actually sick of it, tired of it, and it's just draining now at this point, you know. It's just constant, you know, bitching, and the usual, this one's a plant, that one's a plant, this one's a shill, this one is a state agent, this one's a government agent, this one works for the guards, and it's just non-stop. But I'm just asking people, you know, use your discernment, critical thinking, think for yourself. If you feel like it's, you know, getting too much and it's weighing you down, take a break from it, get some fresh air, go out for a walk, come back to it. As I said again about the rabbit hole, you know, don't go too far down that rabbit hole where you kind of become paranoid, and you know, it's kind of like I can see some people, that's happening to some people as well. You know, take a break from it. Maybe that's a sign you need to just take a break and come back. Also, I'm just going to get into, I suppose, the religion side of it as well. As you know, I am Catholic. Whatever faith you are, that's your business. If you see posts going up as well with people attacking you because of your faith, again, red flag. I would take a step back from that as well, because people should not be attacking other people because of their faith, you know, and I do see that happening. And what I will say as well about the Patriot, Nationalist, Republican movement, it is very splintered as well. And, you know, there's all different types of groups on it. You know, you have, we'll say, people of faith, and even the faith are splintered. You can have Catholics, Protestants, born again Christians. You know, there's so many now, we won't get into them all. But you can also have the people that are gone down, you know, the whole New Age side of things, which I'm not a fan of and I don't agree with, but I'm not going to attack anyone because they're New Age. I just hope they see the light. But there is that side. There's even a dangerous side of people even going down to, they're even gone a bit further from the New Age, and they're just, you know, dipping their feet into more like the occult side of things, and they don't even realise it, you know, just getting into dark waters there. That's going on as well. And I can see sometimes people that are gone into the New Age side kind of attacking people then that have their faith, and you know, that shouldn't be going on either, you know what I mean? And then there's people, will say, within it that have no faith at all, and you know, that's their business. But I don't think it should be all, okay, again, division, faith, this one hasn't faith. It's all, you know, so splintered and so divided at the moment. And I think everyone just needs to maybe take a step back, take a few deep breaths. We're all adults. Stop the fighting. You know, the fighting really does need to stop. I'll definitely be taking a step back from the fighting, or people that are just constantly, will say, backstabbing and bitching about people. I will just be taking a serious step back from that, because as I said, it's negative. We don't need it, and it needs to stop. And as I said, be careful as well with the grifting. As I said, there are genuine people. Again, I'm not mentioning any names. They travel around a lot, and I suppose it is a job to them. And if they want people to donate, that's fair enough. I don't have a problem with that. But as I said, there are a lot of people as well that they're deceiving the people. They're telling people that they're going to save the country. And how long are we at this now, people? Has anyone saved the country? And, you know, we're all human. And as I said, first commandment, thou shalt not honour false gods. There is no one that we can put up on a pedestal and say they're going to save Ireland, because they're not. Going through the political side, I'm not political. Some people are. But just where I'm at now, I don't have much faith in the political system. I feel like even the elections, I feel like they're rigged, and you know, they're the selections. Prime example was even the presidential election with Catherine Connolly. You know, with the Lisbon Treaty. You know, we are at very strange times. It is very easy, as I said, to get very bogged down by all of this, disheartened. But I just want to kind of give a little bit of hope out there to people as well. Just, you know, if social media and all this is becoming too heavy, if you take a break, as I say, get out to nature, fresh air, you know, go for a coffee, you know, with, you know, people, friends, family. Sometimes people are just, they get too stuck in it, they're on it too much, and it's not good. You know, take a break and come back onto it. Use your, you know, discernment, use your critical thinking as well, you know. Make your own decisions and minds up about people. Watch out for your red flags. Watch out for, I suppose, the domineering personalities that are trying to maybe control you. Control, you know, who you watch, who you don't watch, who you're friends with, your thoughts, your opinions. Nobody, you know, you're born of free will from God. No one should ever, will say, control your thoughts or control your opinions. So watch out for all of that as well. What else can I say on the matter? yeah, as I said, I just think it really needs a good deep clean now. The Republican Nationalist Patriot movement. There is some fantastic people in it, but as I said, it's very, very heavily infiltrated, and there are the wolves in sheep's clothing, the people that are just in there and they're going to take advantage of people's vulnerability, because so many people are unhappy in this country at the moment, and they, you know, will try and make money out of it. But, you know, there is an element of nastiness going on as well that is to be seen as well. So, yeah, they're my thoughts on it. I just wanted to come on and make this video. I would love to hear your thoughts on it and your opinions. I'm not really interested in, you know, the whole cutting the SHIT out of people. I just don't like that, and I don't think that's getting anyone anywhere. So, you know, I think just, you know, as I said, take a step back, use your own critical thought, and yeah, it needs to be cleaned up. And, you know, don't get involved in the nastiness as well, because, you know, it's just going to drag you down and it's negative. And as I said, you know, it's at the worst that I've ever seen it. You know, you get sick of every time you know, you go onto your social media, and it's just these kind of like bitch fests, you know. Sorry lads, I left school years ago, and glad to be gone away from all that. And I know I'm not the only one. I just think people need to grow up now. If you are, and you know what I'm going to say as well, to all these people that are promising to save Ireland with your money, ask them how. How are they going to save Ireland with your donations? Ask that before you donate as well. And ask them, how are they going to save Ireland for these people that are, you know, claiming to do it. Just, you know, use your discernment, people. Free thinking, critical thinking, and don't get bogged down by the division and by the infiltration. Stick to people that you know are genuine and you know, that are bringing more positive to the whole movement. I think I'll leave it at that, because I mean, what am I, I'm nearly on a half an hour now. So I'll leave it at that. They're my thoughts. Just in the comment section, tell me, you know, have you been feeling this as well? Are you noticing this, the division, the divide, the infiltration, the fights, the bitchiness? Give me your thoughts and your opinions in the comment section below. Have a lovely day. Thank you and goodbye.